Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Halo 5 gameplay. This is taking place on the map Guillotine, Guillotine being the remake of Headlong from Halo 2 Classic, also featured in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. Definitely one of my preferred maps in the BTB lineup. I feel like it gels really well with the Halo 5 mechanics and the Halo 5 movement abilities, to be specific. And plus it has a sniper on it, which is beautiful, and this has some of the better lines of sight to abuse with the sniper rifle, so I definitely like that. I'm also playing with Bullet Rebel in this video. I want to give a quick shout out to him. Bullet Rebel is one of my favorite YouTubers in the Halo community. He's one of the few people I check out every single one of his videos because something about his editing style, his taste in music, he's just got a really good eye for that kind of thing, and he kind of brings the game to life, I would say, through his videos, and does really interesting cinematics. And definitely in terms of like keeping the Halo community active, he's one of the people who does a pretty good job of keeping active for himself and keeping his subscribers happy. So I 100% advise you guys subscribe to him if you like his style as much as I do anyway. Now moving forward, I wanted to talk about the most recent update that we received in Halo, as I get that overkill, which was a little bit average at best. Like, there's nothing worse for me than an average overkill, because you kind of want to pop off about it, but you're like, really, you know it was kind of average, and you know it was kind of lame, but you still saw the overkill medal, and it's always going to get you hyped, even if it's in BTB, and even if it's mediocre as fudge. But yeah, the most recent patch we saw, BTB could be converted into social BTB, and adding 2 maps to the lineup, which are Entombed and Antifreeze. I personally had a really good time with the 2 new maps that have been added to the lineup, especially Entombed. Entombed is one of the few maps that I feel like works really well with strongholds. The way in which you like have to be creative in approaching the objectives, especially the central objective, because the center objective B, where B is on Entombed, can get crazy. Like, it can just get absolutely ridiculous how chaotic it can be. And I feel like there's a lot of room for exciting, fast-paced objective plays. We actually lost a clutch moment on that game, and Nick got really mad at me because I laughed at him because he was getting really salty over it. And it was funny. And the other map is Antifreeze. Antifreeze being a more snow-based map using the glacier environment, the Forge environment, to its advantage. And it looks pretty darn tremendous, if you were to ask me. It makes a really good job use of the lightings and the color palette, which you can see in the new Forge, which is definitely something I personally like about the new Forge. You know, whenever I've talked about Forge in the past, and I probably sound like I'm beating a dead horse here if you've watched a lot of my old videos, but what I'm always interested in is how much can they push Forge to make it look like actual fully fledged maps. That's what I'm always interested in. And that's one of the reasons I was never that impressed by Reach, or not as impressed by Reach's Forge mechanics. Because, to be honest with you, it kind of looked like a grey sludge monster that was attacking me at all times. And I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel like I was in a fully fledged map. Whereas a lot of these Halo 5 Forge maps have really clicked with me in terms of, building environments and architecture that could stand on its own 2 feet. You know, it looks like its own map, which is quite exciting. And definitely Guillotine, actually, what I'm playing right now, does a good job of that. This construction building looks tremendous, I would say, for my money anyway. Next, I want to talk about the fact that the ranked holiday doubles and the holiday social playlist were added into rotation. I've played both of the playlists extensively. I've gotten a diamond rank on the ranked holiday doubles. It wasn't particularly easy, I'll tell you that for free, guys. Ranked holiday doubles is a tough playlist. It's a really good playlist for learning the maps inside out, for learning the power weapon timers. Because if you get to a high rank on that playlist and you don't know the power weapon timers, you are going to get punished, and you are going to get punished severely. I've had some pretty frustrating, some pretty close, some pretty tense games, but the exhilaration when you pull off a win is nothing short of exhilarating. I said exhilaration, exhilarating. My vocabulary is bad. Apologies to the chef. Nonetheless, I like ranked holiday doubles. It's been a really good place to find out the ins and outs of the remix of Plaza. I can't quite, it's Overgrowth, I believe, which actually confuses me because there was a map in Call of Duty 4 called Overgrowth, and that map is really iconic and memorable, so it's kind of confusing. It gets my wires crossed. But yeah, it's been a good place to find out that map. I will say that the power weapons they spawned on it are a little bit ridiculous. You can get shotgun, a sniper, camo, and a railgun. And the railgun is actually really strong. I was the biggest railgun hater in Halo 5, like early on, of all time. Like I thought the railgun didn't work. I didn't think it was anywhere near as good as the Halo 4 one. But then I started getting owned in doubles by it, and I was like, there must be something to this railgun if this guy can hit every single shot on me. Because you have to be really, really accurate. And you also have to be wary of the fact that the railgun can shoot super fast. And I feel like there's more ways to like surprise people and like you know, freak out people. I mean, you kind of could do it in Halo 4 with the fact that you could let go of the railgun shot really early, whereas in Halo 5 it just has this really quick shot. I do think it's a little bit upsetting that you don't have the deception of changing between the quick shot and the slow shot. You could really like mind game people with that in Halo 4. But nonetheless, it's still a fun, powerful, satisfying weapon to use, and I think it can really do some damage, especially in the doubles playlist. And overall, like, their map rotation is pretty decent. A lot of the maps seem to work quite well in doubles. They can get a little bit standoffish, and like I say, they might need to look at some of the power weapons that you load out with and some of the ammo counters that they give you. Because sometimes you can really, like, kind of play defensive on that playlist once you've got a lead. A good example of that to me would be Regret, because you get the fuel rod and you get OS. Like, if you're the losing team, there's only so much creativity and only so much flanking that you can bring to the table when they have their power weapons on set. Like, you've kind of got to accept the fact that if they're playing smart, you're going to die, and you're going to die a lot, because the power positions and the power weapons are brutal on that map. And then, last but not least, we get Holiday Social. This has personally been the playlist that I've enjoyed the most, because they bring in the new maps from BTB, the Anti-Freeze and the Entombed, but they also bring in a slew of other maps. It feels like one of the playlists with like some of the most maps and some of the most options. The playlists within Holiday Social, or I should say the game types within Holiday Social, are Snipers, Shotty Snipers, and Social Slayer. And as I think I mentioned this in my previous video, but the criticism leveled against this playlist has been the fact that like none of the game types are particularly off the wall. There's nothing like a Griff Ball. There's nothing like you know, something you'd see in an action sack sort of environment. It's all kind of serious, which is what we've already had. You know, with playlists like, you know, what is the most wacky playlist that you can think of in Halo 5, or the most off the wall, the least conventional? It would probably be something like Breakout or something like SWAT. And to be honest, those game types can be played really seriously at a high, like a fairly high level. So they're not particularly, you know, off the wall or silly in the first place. They're mostly played by tryhards, especially if you get a high rank in that playlist. If you think that's going to be a walk in the park, if you think that's going to be a chill time, you're crazy. But nonetheless, I do enjoy the playlist. Like, I almost wish that playlist, because I feel like it will get the chop, just because people will be like, oh yeah, but we wanted this, we wanted this. But I wish we could have that alongside other playlists, alongside these new off-the-wall playlists. I want to have my cake and eat it, which is always my thing with Halo 5, because it's like, I love what I have, but like, can't I just be greedy and want a little bit more, you know? Like, in terms of Forge maps, for example. Yeah, these Forge maps are great that we got on our plate, you know? We've got a lot of content to deal into. But at the same time, when you've got Forge, when you've got this unlimited potential of, like, you could remake any map, you could remix any map, why can't we just go crazy with the content, like, every once in a while? Why can't we just add in, like, 30 maps into rotation? Like, I get that it might take a little bit of testing and they don't really want to take the risks, but at the same time, I feel like there's a certain, like, handful of really, really experienced forgers, or at least you could go onto the RForge place, the RForge subreddit. You could ask them for help. You could ask them to organize it and pick some of their best forgers to, like, round up a couple of remakes, a couple of remixes, and a couple of new maps, because they have remixes of old Halo maps. Like, if you think of a map like Guardian and you think, oh, you know, the amount you used to fall off of that map and the amount that, like, that map is pretty enclosed and pretty fast-paced and hectic, it might not work that well with the Halo 5 abilities, you might think. But the thing is, they've actually done a remix of Guardian, and they've actually done a remix of maps like Lockout, to make them, you know, play better with the Halo 5 abilities, and to at least give them a test, to at least see if they do work, and to at least see if they are fun. Would be really interesting in my opinion, and I'd love to see them just inject a bunch of Forge maps the next time around, or better yet, do a Forge test playlist. Because Forge, like, oh, it's this unlimited resource, and if I were to think, like, oh, can anything save, like, you know, Halo 5, can anything, like, revitalize the game and make sure people are always on the game and, like, get renewed excitement? The only thing that I can think of that, like, could have any chance of doing good for Halo 5 and getting people excited for Halo 5 is Forge, because this Forge is definitely the craziest we've seen so far. Nonetheless, I've been Modest Major. Hope you guys enjoyed this little wrap-up video of the newest patch. Thank you very much for watching. Peace out, guys.